You can still hear it plain as day. Oh, good morning and welcome to Distracted Thoughts. It's a beautiful day in the Northwest. It's raining we had 2-3 weeks of beautiful weather, and now it's turned off and decided it wanted to dump on us.
Yep.
So, how's Dathan this morning? How are you feeling, sir?
Feeling all right.
Yeah?
Allergies are trying to kind of kick in my butt this week. We had lots of sunshine, then lots of rain, and now it's everything's blooming and loving, and so I'm like foggy-brained, but.
Well, you see the layer of pollen. The
Yes.
rain knocks the pollen out of the air, and you see the yellow pollen everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that stuff has been hanging in the air for the last several weeks. It rains like this, the mold and mildew kicks up. 'Tis the season for all those things. So, yeah. So, you said you're feeling a little off?
A little off.
Little off?
Yeah.
Okay.
How about you?
Me too. Me too. It's actually, if you can't hear, I got a cough drop in, and I got another one in my pocket just in case I have a little bit of an attack, because it's one of those. So this ought to make a pretty interesting episode this week.
Yeah.
Because we're both a little off. We had our little bit of pregame discussion, but, just kind of catching up as friends, and have no idea what we're going to talk about.
Nope.
Which is really should make it pretty entertaining, because we're actually truly might live up to our title of Distracted Thoughts.
It might be.
It might actually be like, where are we going to go with this?
This is going to be a fun one to come up with a title for. When I have to come up with titles for things, I'm like, I'm just going to put Distracted Thoughts on this.
Yeah.
Foggy-headed thoughts or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where do we go when the brain is cloudy? And
Well, on that note, when you're having, I'm curious, when you're having days or a week like this, because it happens, what is where do you find your comfort zone? Like, what do you do? Like, you've pushed through the day of work, you've pushed through the things that are mandatory for the day, and then you're like, you know what? I've been foggy-headed all day. I just need to turn off.
Right.
So what do you do?
So that's funny, because Megan and I actually were literally talking about this yesterday, because yesterday was a little bit, I'm better today. I'm actually feeling pretty good. Yesterday was definitely rough. And she actually said, I can tell how sick you are by what you want to do after you push through. She's like, if you are sick and if you're just kind of sick, it's like usually you'll want to decompress. You'll want to plug into a video game, something like that. Because you can still think, you can still, She's like, I can tell you're sick when you just want to sit down and turn on a show you've watched 100 times and do nothing.
And check out.
And because she's like, I know your brain is disconnected at that point, because you're like, you don't want to think about anything. You don't want to have to work. Because, yes, playing video games calms us, but it still requires quite a bit of stimulus, right? You're still doing lots of things. She's like, I know you're sick when you literally are like, nope, I'm going to doom scroll YouTube shorts, or you're going to watch a show, one of my go-tos, like I love 13th Warrior, is a movie that I watch all the time. Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou? Things like that.
What is the show? I gotta stop you. Because I had something pop in my head. What is the show? The show that you have seen every episode of all the seasons, that you can just be like, okay, I'm just gonna watch this, and you'll just pick a random episode or a random season and just play.
So you might laugh, because it's actually older than my generation.
Okay.
MASH.
Okay.
I have watched every episode of
That
MASH.
was my grandfather's.
Oh. Wow. MASH.
Walk into his house, it was always playing.
Yep. I have watched every episode of MASH at least 5 times, if not more.
Okay.
I can plug in and I can watch less than 2 minutes of it, and I can tell you exactly what the episode is.
MASH. I would have never guessed it. Not in 100 years.
No.
No,
And most
never.
people don't, because it's at least a generation older than me. But that's the show that I can pick up and watch anywhere at any time, and
all right,
and it's funny, and it's some of them are a little bit more serious, but generally there's some humor in it. Something makes me
Yeah.
laugh. But yeah, I can watch MASH anytime, anywhere.
All right.
Just sit down and watch it. What about? I mean, okay, same. So same. You're disconnecting. You like I said, you're feeling a little off. Allergies have really kicked your ass for the week. You're done mentally. What does that look like for you?
I'm the same way that you are, that depending on how much I need to check out is
Right.
what I do.
Right.
When it's just like I've had a stressful thing, I just need to turn off work or turn off business, but I still have brain power.
Right.
I game.
Okay.
My go-to game for so long has been Call of Duty.
Right.
But I tried playing Call of Duty yesterday.
Yeah.
I played for about an hour. And I was like, okay, I'm obviously can't think straight on this game because it's a fast-paced game,
Right,
you know?
yeah.
And I just had to get off. And so I'm very similar. My go-to is usually a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a TV in our living room.
Right.
So we don't, you got to be downstairs and then, you can't really shut off because the boys are down there and all that stuff. So I'll throw in a headphone and put it on my phone. You know what I mean?
Right.
So mine is a TV show.
Yeah.
And mine is actually Stargate, the series.
Okay. All right.
So I have seen every single episode, every season, all 9 seasons of it I can tell you the same way. I can watch, I can pick an episode within a couple minutes, know exactly what's going to happen in all those other. But I can actually even listen to it in the background. Mm-hmm. And it's just I guess a comfort thing. There's something going on, but it doesn't require any brain power whatsoever.
No.
The other thing, and this is the dangerous thing that I like to do.
Right.
I don't do it so much because of the town we live in, but I like walk around stores and trying to find something to buy.
Okay.
It is very weird. Most guys aren't like that.
I was just say,
but I'm also not going to like Macy's. I'm going to like Harbor Freight or Home Depot or something like that. Many times I won't buy anything, but I don't do it as much here because we don't have stores like that here.
No,
we don't. I mean, we're in a small town,
Right.
So, and I'm not. I don't have the brain power to drive to Sandpoint and then come back. So I don't want to do that. But yeah, I will hit up a thrift store and walk around a thrift store, and because it's kind of mindless, and anything I'm going to pick up is something I don't really need. But I've kind of gotten out of that because it's like I've done that before and come home with a $1,200 toolbox. So,
yeah, that'll get you in trouble quick.
Hey, I like my toolbox, so I still have it. I mean, I love it. I use it all the time. But I've always told my wife, I said, man, if I ever become like a multimillionaire, that's going to turn into cars. I was like, I will just go buy a car. I guess because I love vehicles. And I was like, I know I'll do that. Yeah. But yeah, mine's usually the TV show. I try to find new shows to watch, but man, new TV just sucks.
It sucks.
I mean,
Dude,
it just sucks.
It sucks so bad.
And with the such fast turnaround on TV shows nowadays, they get canceled after a season or two.
Yep.
And so and they don't ever end.
Right.
Used to shows had a full run.
Right.
And and now it's like you get invested into a show 4, 5, 6 episodes in, and they cancel the show.
Right.
Or they move it to a different streaming service that you can't, or they take it off a streaming service. Now you got to pay for it to get to it. And I'm just not going to spend $4 an episode on a show.
It's funny. My wife and I actually talked about that. Like she won't start watching a series unless it's completely done. Unless the series, especially because of the services that are out there. She's actually said, no, I'm not even going to start something. She's not going to start like a drama or comedy or one of those unless it's completely done because of exactly that.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't want it. No, don't get me wrong. Guilty pleasure, thing you wouldn't necessarily expect. Okay. Okay.
Love guilty pleasures.
Has your wife ever been watching a show and you're like, oh, that's dumb. That's a dumb show.
Yeah, daily.
Right. But also, have you ever found yourself like taking a little bit more time to watch the show?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I don't like that, but I do it.
Right. I got to a point with one of those shows with my wife that I actually told her she wasn't allowed to watch it without me anymore. And it's a newer one. Might not.
Is it Gilmore Girls?
No.
That's not a new one. I'm just kidding.
Great British Baking Show.
Oh, yeah.
Great British Baking Show. And I would actually come home on Thursdays because that's when they released the new episodes. And I would come home on Thursdays and say, guess what, babe? It's on. And she'd be like, you're the worst. This was my show before it was yours. Now I can't watch it without you. And now you're reminding me when it comes on. It's like, well, that's love, right?
That's love. So that same thing happened in reverse because me and my wife have completely different taste in shows.
Yeah. Oh, me.
One reason we don't have a TV in our living room, one, we just didn't want it to be the center of attention while we were always sitting there because if it's there, whether you want to watch something or not, you'll turn it on. Mm-hmm. And so we, a long time ago, removed it. But we also have completely different interests in shows.
Yeah.
When we want to check out, it's not like, hey, let's go watch this show together. No, it's like, hey, I'm going to go watch my whatever show she wants to watch, and I'm going to go watch my action sci-fi.
Yeah.
I love sci-fi. Yeah. That's just how I do. I love sci-fi. I love well-made sci-fi. I can't watch the old cringy stuff, but I love well-made sci-fi. But I started, this was years ago, oh my gosh, 10 years ago probably, I started a show called Lost. Okay. It was sci-fi, survival.
Right.
Just enough reality to make you wonder if the things that did happen could actually happen. You know, it cheated on the edge.
Right.
And so I was like, I'm going to watch the show. First episode, right? Halfway through the first episode, she I see her kind of watching a little bit, and she doesn't want to watch it, you know. Next day, I go to episode 2. She's like sitting there with me, invested.
Yeah.
Then it turned into that. She starts asking all the questions. So we rewatch episode 1, and then she's invested. Right. She's like, nope. She's like, can't watch without me. So we only watched that show together, and we watched it every single night because there was already like 2 seasons out.
Right.
We watched it every single night, at least 1 or 2 episodes until we were caught up, and then we watched it on every release through however many seasons there is, 7, 8. Season, something like that. All the way through, like through the very end. And it turned into our nightly date time kind of thing. And it was awesome. You know, it was fun. We've tried to go back and watch it together again. And one of us will get hooked and want to keep watching, and the other one won't. And we've tried to do that again where we find a show that we both like and we only watch it together. Mm-hmm. It's difficult though. You know, it's difficult because we have 4 kids. The only time we can sit down and watch a show together is at night when everybody's went to bed after 8.
Right.
And by 9:30, she's ready to go to sleep. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, you know, where me, I can stay up till midnight. I'm just that way. So we haven't really found another one that we've done. But she was watching, oh my gosh, what is this? Something Girl. It's an older show.
Like Gossip Girl?
Gilmore Girls? Gossip Girl.
Oh my goodness. That show is the worst.
So she started watching that. She's seen it every episode multiple times now, I think. But she started watching that. And because she was watching it in the bedroom, I'd come in and I'd sit down and I'd catch 3 or 4 episodes and I started asking her questions. She gets so annoyed with me. Quit asking questions. Or I would start being like, you know what I think about this person? And then I start like analyzing the people, and she'd be like, shut up, you're ruining my show.
You know what's funny is Megan really loves basically I just call them nighttime soap operas, the doctor dramas with all the, you know which ones I'm talking about.
Yep.
She's watching a new one, The Resident, right now. Is one of those. And dude, I will, because right now where we're living, the TV and my computer are in the same room, and I only ever put one headphone on because I want to be able to listen, interact. So I'll have one headphone on and playing and interact. But because of little ADHD, I'm listening to this show, and I'll turn around and I'll start talking to her about her show and what's going on. And she's like, I wish you wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Or I'll do that. I'll ask questions. She's like, just watch the show with me. You obviously are paying attention to it. No,
I'm not that invested.
Yeah, I'm not that interested.
So, funny shows.
Yeah,
because we like comedy. We have a similar sense of humor. What is a comedy show that you've watched or watched some of that you actually laughed out loud about?
Okay, so comedy shows. My favorite comedy TV show is actually like Big Bang Theory. Love it
I love Big Bang Theory
because,
too.
and I love it because the things that they're proposing, like the actual science of it, is real.
It's
Is
real.
real.
Yeah.
Like they're actually talking about, and then the human interactions of these nerds, right?
The nerds and the one hot girl.
Right, right,
Because
right.
that's the interaction of the whole show.
Right. But the idea of watching, but you can pick up pieces of your own stuff in the things that they do. And man, it just makes me, I just roll laughing. Because I tried to watch How I Met Your Mother. Megan really liked it. I didn't care for it that much because it was all sitting around a bar, drinking. And you know, I didn't care for that as much. No, I think Big Bang Theory is probably the one comedy series that I just absolutely. Now, I will also go back again. Call me an old fart. I love old stuff too. Like, you ever seen Sanford and Sons?
Yeah.
Red Fox is probably one of the funniest men.
I haven't watched it in a long time, but
dude.
I can remember my grandfather watching it all the time, or my grandmother having it on TV, and I spent a lot of time at their house growing up, so I remember seeing that. And
you want to be incredibly offended or not offended, depending on how you look at things. Watch All in the Family.
I never watched All in the Family.
All in the Family, the one Archie Bunker.
Yeah. I know the show. I just ain't never watched it.
Dude, if you watch it now and put it in modern context, that dude would have been in so much trouble, which to me actually makes it even funnier because, I mean, he's throwing all kinds of racial epithets. He's throwing out all kinds of, the things he does. And I just look at it and go, I'm surprised somebody somewhere hasn't sued to have this burned in effigy because it's one of those kind of things.
So have you watched any of the new, the name is, I'm drawing a blank. I'm going to have to look it up. It's the one, it's got a bunch of comedy guys in it. And it's based around them running a big mega church.
I haven't heard that one.
I got to look it up. Sorry.
Okay.
Because it's hold on.
So it's a bunch of
The Righteous Gemstones.
Oh no, I never heard of it.
So only watch it if you're willing to put any offense away and have awkward humor the whole time. Best. Okay, so that's what this is. Best. Okay, I haven't watched it at all.
Right.
Alexis has watched it all the way through.
Okay.
It is very improv-y, but it's also it's also scripted. If that makes any sense. There's a script, they let them improv. It is all about they call themselves the Righteous Gemstones, and they are a mega church, and it's all about the people who run the mega church and how glorious they are, and it is the bits and pieces I've seen of it.
Right.
Like, it almost makes me uncomfortable to watch it. Like
okay.
So but it's a comedy. You got to realize this is not a documentary.
Right.
But there's some things they touch on that are in the modern day church,
right?
That you're like, ooh, yeah, that would cut because that's so true.
It's one of those. Man, I actually like this stuff. I like the stuff that offends me just a little bit.
Yeah,
because if I can't laugh at my own being offended just a little bit, then I'm. That's the problem with some of the comedy stuff now, and I don't want to get serious. That's not. That's not what we're doing today. But I think that'd be great. I the stuff that just like, ooh, that stung a little bit.
Yeah,
and is funny and is accurate and is.
And that's one of the ones that all the seasons have come out,
Okay.
and they actually ended it
Okay.
at the end of it. So it's a full-blown.
What's it on?
It's on HBO.
Okay.
But we have HBO with one of our packages that we got. I don't remember which one. It was one of those you sign up for a bundle and you get it. It might even be Amazon.
Right.
I've found out now that Amazon has add-ons for every streaming service except for Netflix now.
Yep.
So you can literally like add any streaming service onto Amazon, even Disney Plus, onto Amazon, cheaper than you can go get the service yourself. So we've kind of redone all that. But Alexis loves it. Like it's one she'll go back and rewatch, and she'll watch again. And like I said, you've met my wife. You know my wife. Yeah. I mean, she has that awkward sense of humor.
Yeah.
That some people just can't get. Like
she's hilarious.
I know there's a lot of people who like won't even laugh at a joke because they either go over the head or they are actually offended by it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, laugh a little. Just laugh. That's all you need to do, just laugh, you know? Or if you don't get it, just don't say anything. You'll get it later.
Well, as you said, it's you've been to comedy shows, right?
Yeah.
You know, I love the joke that I don't get until I'm on the car ride home.
Yeah. Just laugh for no reason.
Right.
What?
You know, you're like, oh my gosh. Ah! Like, I just got it. It just hit me. I mean, there's not a lot that do that to me, but every now and then there'll be those jokes. It's like,
I haven't been to a comedy show in probably 15 years.
Yeah.
I want to go to another one. They have them all the time down in Coeur d'Alene and Spokane and stuff like that. So, me and Alexa was talking about that, trying to find a good comedy show to go to, and just, find one to go to. Problem is they usually don't start till 6 or 7. They're in Spokane. So you really got to like get a place to stay because you don't want to go because it goes till 10 o'clock. Then by the time you get out of there, I mean, you're 1:30, 2:30 getting home in the morning. I'm like, you know what? I'd just rather get a hotel room and stay down there. So
yeah, no, I get that.
But
no, yeah.
So yeah. I just lost train of thought all of a sudden. I was like, derailed.
I mean, par for the course. That's where we're living today.
That is what we're living.
Where are we at? What are we doing? I'm here.
And it's one of those things I sit here and I'm thinking, I'm like, I have all these prints to do today. Like, and they're not mindless. Like, it's not like 100 shirts of the same exact print.
Yeah.
It's like I have 12 orders and they're all like 2 of these, or this one's got 10, but every back of every one of them's got different names on it and different sizes. And I'm sitting there going, and that's a lot of decisions and things to keep up with today. I was like, I'm going to do the easy ones today, and maybe tomorrow I'll do the harder ones.
So thinking about the brain fog, keeping things going. Obviously, that's one of those like normally pretty decent. I would say not great because no man is fantastic at multitasking, but I would say we're average, so. But when that brain fog kicks in,
gosh,
it's when you're so used to having multifaceted things going on, you're thinking through different things, and then it's gone. And then it's like, I'm having a hard time keeping track of the one thing that I'm actually doing because I'm thinking about my man flu and how bad I feel for myself at the moment.
Yeah, that whole when it shuts down thing is I related. I was talking to somebody, and I related it very much to like a lithium battery.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got these old school batteries, AA's, AAA's. As they got lower in power, they would just the whatever you were using, like if it was a drill or something, it would get weaker and weaker.
Slower. Yeah.
Lithium batteries aren't that way. Lithium batteries are charged or they're nothing.
Right.
Like they're literally like, okay, they have almost full power up to the point where they don't, and then they're just not working.
Right.
And so like all my cordless stuff now is lithium, and you'll be using a saw or something and just shut off.
Right.
And it's dead. And you got to go change batteries. There's no warning. There's no nothing.
Right.
And that's kind of how I feel in my brain right now. It's like it's full power, and then it's just like, all right, time to shut off. No warning. Just we're shutting off today. And you're like, oh my gosh. And having a business where you're owner operator,
Right.
the only one there to do anything
Yep.
right now. It's difficult when it shuts off.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
you're in the same boat. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You still got to do what you got to do for the day,
Yep.
and you just got to get through it best as possible.
Well, and
And then let somebody walk in and ask you a question, and everything goes out the window.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Throw something out of the normal anywhere in there, and you're like, come back in 15 minutes when the brain is actually potentially rebooted. I am probably one of the worst for, like, I'll over medicate if I'm sick or whatever, because, well, I'm a get it done kind of guy.
Yeah.
Right. I've got responsibilities. I've got things that I need to do. I'm going to do them. I'm going to take care of business. Even if it's at 3/4 speed, I'm going to take care of things. So I'm one that I will over medicate. If it says 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C is good, I'm going to take 2. Right. It says, one every 6 hours, I'm going to take one every 4. Right.
Yeah.
Just to keep it. But then I do notice that also affects, because now there's medication on board and all that kind of, and literally the thoughts that come springing in out of nowhere of like, where did that come from? What does that even need to be here? Why are you thinking about rainbows and unicorns? I mean, like, what? Who cares? I mean, just little things like that. Like, why am I staring at the knothole in the table going, oh, that looks like an eyeball? I mean,
Mine is I have a touch of ADHD.
Yeah. No shit.
Yeah. I denied that most of my life up until just a couple of years ago. So it's even more advanced when you get foggy-brained.
Yeah.
Because your brain's not telling you to stay on track.
Right.
Your brain's telling you to grab onto anything it can.
Right.
And so that is rough. Like I was doing it the other day. I was working on, I got to get this order placed, right?
Yeah.
I had to get like material order placed.
Yeah.
And so I'm like going through everything I got to have with this screen over here, and I'm putting this in the cart. I'm looking. I'm okay. Next one, put it in the cart. And it's a multitude of shirts and hats and all kind of other stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, this has to go out before noon. I have to get it ordered before noon. That way I can have it by Friday.
Right.
And so I'm doing it. And then all of a sudden my phone dings. Ding. It was just an email. You know what I mean? I didn't have to look at it, but it dings. And I'm like, I stop and I look down. I was like, oh, what's this? And I'm like, oh. Next thing I know, I'm doom scrolling on Instagram. I'm like 30 minutes has passed. I'm like, shit, I didn't finish this order. I totally forgot I was even doing the order. It's on both screens in front of me. I can't even like get away from it. I'm literally sitting at a desk, 2 big monitors in front of me, and I pick my phone up and I'm like scrolling on Instagram. Not looking for anything, all because my phone dinged. And I didn't even look at the email it dinged about. I just picked my phone up, unlocked it, and as soon as I unlocked it, it was on Instagram because I was where I was at before.
Right.
I was like, oh, that's cool. Okay, I need one of those. But no, I don't. Yeah, I do. I need one of those. 30 minutes has passed by, and I look up, and I'm like, oh, I didn't never place that order.
I should probably finish.
When I started.
Probably finish what I was actually doing.
Oh my gosh, it was so bad. I think it was Tuesday. It was so bad Tuesday. And then, of course, I finally get focused on something. I get to a point. I got some caffeine in me, and I'm like, all right, I'm focused on this project in front of me. And someone walks in, and they just want to talk. Just kind of check out the store.
Yeah.
But I got to stop everything I'm doing and be attentive to them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they hung out for about 15, 20 minutes talking about all the stuff, and then they left. And then my train was derailed. It wasn't only derailed, it had taken a different track and was gone. I couldn't even see it anymore. And so, yeah, needless to say, that day was shot at that point. I just was like, okay, I can't keep. I'm done.
Yeah.
It was already like 3:30. I was going to be closing in 30 minutes. I was like, I'm not even going to try to get back on track. I'm done.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, best effort. Sometimes it just doesn't work.
Yep.
Sometimes it's, okay, just indulge this stupid thing for 15, 20 minutes or whatever it is, and maybe I can get back there. What about Alexis? What does she say when she notices that you're a little off?
So that has actually changed dramatically in the past, I'd say 6 months.
Okay.
I will say, on a more serious note, The past 6 months have been probably some of the greatest times of our marriage.
Okay.
Not that the other ones were bad.
Right.
We are just communication wise and being on the same page together. We are more there than we have ever been, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give you two answers. 6 months ago, she would get frustrated and upset.
Okay.
Because I always functioned here.
Right.
Always. Yeah. I was always up here. I was always functioning super high. Multiple things at one time. I could be in the middle of something. She could walk in and just not even say anything, just start a conversation with me, and I would continue a conversation with her while I was doing what I was doing. I'm a multitasker. Always been, always have, always will be. But when I wouldn't give what she come in to say, or when I was having a foggy day, full attention, it would upset her. And not to the point where she got mad, but she would get frustrated with it.
Right.
But then kind of clam up and not really say anything about it. That has all changed. So now we're very open about us being foggy-headed and foggy-brained for that day. Right. And if I feel that coming on, I'll just tell her. I'll be like, man, today's going to be a weird one because I can't focus on anything. Right. Well, she takes that then, and she'll do things now like all right, well, I'm going to text you 3 or 4 things, and then we'll discuss them all later on.
Okay.
You don't even got to read them.
Yeah.
Or if she says something and I'm like, and I'm like in the middle of something, and she says something, I'm like, and she's like, you know what? That wasn't the right time to come to you about this. We'll talk about that later or when you get ready to. Nice. So she's noticing now when I'm like that. Okay. And I'm noticing more when she's like that. And we're giving a bunch of grace is all it is. We're giving each other grace. She will tell me to go check out. Okay. She will say, I'll be in the middle of something. And a lot of times when you get foggy brain like this, especially when you have little kids. Right. You know, we have 4 kids and 2 of them are little, 4 and 6. Right. We will, they're 100 miles an hour 100% of the day. I mean, I swear they run in their sleep. I mean, they are wide open. Yeah. I've never been around kids that are as wide open as mine. Now, it's great because I encourage them to be themselves. Right, yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. They have discipline, but I encourage them to be themselves. But when you're foggy-brained and that happens, a lot of times my inability to comprehend everything that's going on, I will get frustrated. Yep. And I'll get irritated. Yep. And so when I get like that, Alexis will recognize it almost instantly. Yeah. And she'll be like, you need to go check out for a little while. Yeah. Why don't you go downstairs and hang out or go walk around outside or something? Yeah. And I used to get offended at that. Why don't tell me what to do? I know I'm and now I'm like, no, you're right. I do. And I take 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever, So she's real good about that. And I am too. She'll get to that point sometimes and I'm like, hey, why don't you go stick your headphones in and go hang out in the bedroom or something or go do something. And she'll, okay, go for a walk. Yeah. Her latest thing is when she gets like, she wants to go to the gym, which is good. She goes to the gym, she runs or works out and, that'll clear your head a lot too. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So I can't tell you how many times I've gone to the gym and been like, I don't want to be here. I'm a little slow, whatever. And then you get in there and get a good workout in. You do whatever. And it's like, oh, man. Yeah, right. Endorphins. Endorphins, man. I feel way better. I feel like I'm ready to tackle the world. Yeah, for me, like I said, and it's funny, the last 6 months or so from Megan and I has been way more open about that stuff too. Like we were talking, and she, like I said, she very obviously knows that I'm sick. She always apologizes, but she's like, I'm not going to bring this to you right now. I got to wait until you're fully medicated is what she said. She said, I'm going to wait till you're fully medicated and then we'll talk about it. Wait till or she'll ask me. She'll be like, okay. But then she, like I said, she asked that other question, like we talked about earlier. Like she asks, hey, what do you feel like doing right now? Hey, if you're going to check out, what are you going to do? She asked me this yesterday. And I was like, and when I said, yeah, I'm just going to sit down and watch something. She's like, okay, I'm not going to bring this to you because I know you're not in. Yeah. I know you're not there. I know that if you're talking to me about watching something, because if I have a preference, same thing. I mean, I'm undiagnosed, likely ADHD. Obviously, I work with people like this all the time. High chance. I think a lot of people have it. It's just part of who we are. It's just part of the way yeah. But she's like, when you're not wanting to multitask, when you're not wanting to do that, it's like, I know you're not there. I know.
and sometimes we still have to have the conversation. The funny thing. So you're talking. Well, you have older teenagers, dude. They're the ones. The little kids, there's a little grace for. Older teenagers, I love my son. I love my son. He only wants to talk to me when my brain is half functioning. Like 17, that's when he'll show up and present me with 47 things. Hey, Dad, let's talk. Blah 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 blah.
Yep.
Like,
and there's no warning.
no, none
They just walk in and start a conversation that they've been thinking about for the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
They've got everything worked out and expect you to be on the same page with them.
Yeah.
And on top of being foggy-brained.
Yeah.
Happens all the time to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then I just kind of look, and then one of them will say something to my wife afterwards and be like, it doesn't seem like Dad was like he was listening to me.
Yeah.
And it's like, did you just burst in and start talking without giving him any warning or seeing what he was doing or
Right.
seeing where he was at or if he was in a mood to have a conversation like this? Well, no. Okay.
Yep.
And we try our best. You know what I mean? We're like,
Oh, yeah.
okay, I need to focus. Like, I've had to start like, because I'm the same way. Like, if someone's in the room with me or whatever and I'm gaming, I'll keep one headphone off. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm just that type of person.
Yeah.
But if there's not, like, my gaming area is actually in its own area.
Yeah.
And so, like, if I'm gaming and there's nobody down there, I'm headphones both on, doors closed and all that. But the second the door opens, I either take a headphone off because sometimes it's a little kid
Right.
or it's just
Yeah.
Garrett asking me, hey, you giving me a ride to CQB tonight? Sure. You know, it's quick answers.
Right.
But I've learned if my daughter walks in that I am taking headphones off, I am pushing my mic away, and I am just looking at her. I don't care if I'm in the middle of a game that I can't pause. It's a game.
Yeah.
But I've got to do that now because there is about to be a dump of information on me that I need to remember
Right.
that she expects me to remember.
Right.
So
Well, especially, I mean, essentially with the events that are occurring in the next month and a half, dude, you don't have a choice.
I don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice.
So yeah, I've got to stay hyper focused. You know, they have the bridal shower this weekend.
Yep.
On Saturday.
Megan is very excited to go.
Awesome. We are. I've been told I have to leave my house and take all the boys with me. I've got to go find something to do because it's probably going to be at my house. It's supposed to be
at the Beckers.
It was because they were doing it outside.
Oh well, if the
And it's gonna
nasty.
the weather's supposed to be really nasty on Saturday, so we're gonna wait and make the call like Friday night or Saturday morning.
Okay.
But if we have to move it inside, we're gonna do it at our house because we have a more open area.
I was gonna say your living room, dining room,
Yeah,
area
it's all open. Yeah, so we'll do it there. But so there's a car show on Lost in the 50s is going on Saturday in Sandpoint.
Yeah.
And they do it rain or shine. So I think I'll just take the boys down to Sandpoint and do that. But I cannot believe my baby girl has her bridal shower this weekend. We just switched everything over because she's adult now and by the law's name. So she bought her own car.
Yeah.
She went and got it all in her name. The title's all in her name now.
Yeah.
She got her own insurance.
Yeah.
She did her own registration. I walked her through all of it. She's has her own bank account now that I'm not on anymore. She's disconnecting, which is great. You know, we encourage it.
I love the way you say that's great and shake your head no.
It's hard.
Right.
It's hard. She's my only girl.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's not disappearing.
No.
I mean, you know what I mean?
No.
But she has to find her own way.
The hardest thing is when they don't live with you, because Sophie doesn't live with us anymore. No, she's not married. Yeah, we still, but when they don't live with you anymore, and the instinct, even as a dad, like Megan and I talk about this all the time. Even as a dad, I want to check in. I want to make sure they're good. I want to make sure they're okay. That's funny. So Sophie and I probably got exposed to whatever I have at the same time because we've both been sick for about the same. Not sure where, but likely because we both got sick within that we got exposed to the same source. Anyway, well, I told Megan, I'm like, check on her. You're gonna make sure she's okay, and you wouldn't think she's my daughter. She's my baby. She's still my girl. It's not big like what you guys have got going on. Literally a month and a half away.
Yeah.
But it is strange. It truly is strange. Well, and Garrett turned a year older yesterday.
Turned 14 yesterday.
Right.
Yep. So
Yeah.
he is, and the boy, so we looked, he has grown 12 inches this last year.
I believe it.
12 inches.
I believe it.
Like, I was like, he's gotten a lot taller. So we went up to we have a marker thing on the wall, for that family. And 12 inches in a year.
Oh, yeah.
12 inches and 3 shoe sizes in a year.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, my wife texted me yesterday. She's like, he needs new clothes. I'm like, well, yeah, we bought him about 3-4 months ago and he's outgrown them already, So but yeah, so I have a 14-year-old now. But yeah, so the moving out thing it's gonna be hard on us. I'm not gonna lie, I mean, we've got a month and a half left with her, and then she's moving out. I mean, I'm happy for her, but it'll be hard on us. I'm not gonna lie, and the checking in on her is gonna be even more difficult. Like, I know right now, if I need to check on her and walk downstairs,
right,
I now I got to make a phone call and hope she answers or hope she sends a text back, and it's gonna be a different dynamic.
Yeah.
So we seen Sophie the other day. Me and my wife, we were somewhere, and she had her at a gas station, and she had her car packed full of stuff. And I was like, "Oh, you moving?" She goes, "Yep, moving into a place." So
yep. She moved in with another young gal from the church, single gal from the church, and they
she told us.
and so I think it's good that separation. Like you said, we'll see how it goes.
She's never had a roommate, has she?
Nope, never.
Yeah.
No.
So that is a different thing.
Right.
I had the first time I moved out, I straight went from my parents' house to a roommate situation.
Yeah.
Very, very, very awkward roommate situation. Right. Touch on that story a minute. It was a 2-bedroom apartment.
Right.
My buddy was like, "Hey, I got an extra room for rent if you want to rent it."
Right.
I'll rent a 2-bedroom apartment. I was like, "Cool, what's the price?" Told me. I was like, "That works." My parents go out of town on vacation. They were going to be going for 8 days. They left on a Saturday. On Monday, he tells me this. On Tuesday, I move out. My parents didn't even know I moved out. Now, I was already 18 and all that stuff, but they didn't know I moved out. They found out when I got back. They got back. Anyway, so I move in with him, not knowing that his girlfriend lived with him.
Oh.
And the reason he had a 2-bedroom is because his parents didn't agree. They were Mormon.
Okay.
And his parents did not agree on him living with his girlfriend. So what he did is he rented a 2-bedroom apartment, and he told him he had a female roommate. They didn't live in the same state. So they were in the same room, but he was like, "Well, I got this other room that's empty. You want to move into it?"
Oh.
So when I move in, I knew they were boyfriend girlfriend, but I thought she was just kind of like staying there. And then I start noticing that
she never leaves.
And that all her stuff is everywhere all the time. And like 2 weeks into it, I'm like, "Does she live here?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, that would have been a nice piece of information before I moved in. You know what I mean? So he was super he didn't like arguing, so he would just shut down during an argument. And she was very loud, and she liked arguing. And so that was the situation I moved into. And I needless to say, I spent like a month and a half there, and I moved out.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, and then my next movement was into a college house with 2 college roommates, which was crazy.
Yeah.
But so mine was always roommates. Alexis, she kind of stayed with her best friend right out of school, and then her first full-time live-in with somebody was me.
Okay.
We moved in together.
Okay.
Like she lived with her best. Well, I take that back. She lived with her best friend for a little bit, and then she did rent an apartment with a friend, but it was just like a room style situation. It wasn't like a full blown roommate. Dynamics are different. You got to live with someone that you can't tell them to change because you're not married to them, but you just got to accept everything about them.
See, I've never had a roommate.
Roommate situations.
That was never. So for me, it was military. I went straight out of high school, military. So you're living in a dorm room.
Yeah, military, you don't get to make any rules. Military makes all the rules.
Yeah, military standard. Once I got out, had a girlfriend, so I moved in with her. So we're cohabitating that way. Then when that ended, I moved into an apartment on my own, and then when I moved back here, again, apartment on my own. And then after that, my brother-in-law collected me, and I moved in with. I mean, I guess technically, but it was a rehab situation. Like I said, he was helping me get clean and sober. So moved in with him in his house with his new wife, and then Megan and I have lived together ever since. So it is.
So your roommate situations have never been standard roommate situations.
No, not really, not like that. And so, like Sophie, this is new for her. I mean, she lived with us, then she went to Texas and lived with my parents. Then she came back, lived with us again, and now at almost 20, she'll be 20 in August. She's moved in with like. Interesting thing is the young gal that she moved in with had no furniture, and Sophie's the one that actually came. Like Sophie has anticipated living on her own for a while, so she's been collecting stuff.
Yeah.
So she moved in. She had a TV. She had a TV cabinet. We gave her one of the TVs that I think got donated for.
Oh yeah.
Gave her one of those, the one that came from the school.
Oh yeah.
So, she has a recliner. She had a love seat. She had a kitchen table, and so she's
furnished this apartment.
She basically furnished the living room, and she had her own bed. She had so she moved in, and the place was essentially empty. And I think the roommate is not sure how to handle it because she invited Sophie to move in, and yet Sophie's the one that has all the stuff.
Yeah,
like she didn't have anything.
Wow.
So it's a little, and basically she's told her, because Sophie's plan is she's putting money away. She wants to build a tiny house on our property, right? She still has that plan. She's very much thankful. My kids are not super spenders. She's very frugal. Her car's paid for. She doesn't have any bills. She's setting money aside. She wants to build a little house so she doesn't have to pay rent. But I'm curious. Like, she doesn't know how to navigate the roommate situation either. Yeah, but it's all good.
You know? You figure it out. It's part of life.
Yeah.
You know, there's some things in life that I think every young adult should have to go through.
Yeah.
And I think it's just character building stuff. You know, we talked about this a little bit, me and Alexis did. We feel like every teenager to young adult should have to work in the service industry.
Oh, I agree. Totally.
You learn more about humans and people and how to interact and how not to just blare off anything that's on your mind or to stand your ground. Right. All from working in the service industry. I mean, I worked in the restaurant industry. My wife worked in the restaurant industry. Well, so Garrett just turned 14. Yep. He's like, I'm ready to get a job. You know, a lot of places hire at 14, so he's like ready to go. So we go yesterday looking on his birthday. So now Super One, none of the grocery stores in town will hire until you're 16 now. Oh, they changed it.
They raised their standards, huh?
And well, it's because I found out in the state of Idaho, while school's in session, you can only work like 18 hours a week, and you can only work 3 hours a day, and you can only work between this hour and this hour, and it can't be school hours, even if you're homeschooled.
That's so dumb.
During the summer, you can work 40. So what was happening is they were having to pay somebody to constantly switch the schedule around and make sure these kids wasn't over their hours and they weren't going to get fined and all this stuff. And it got too big of a hassle. They literally had to hire another person just to do that. So they just raised it to 16 where there's no limit on anything.
Right.
So he was really looking forward to Super One. Can't do that now. So we're now looking at places like Badger's Den and because they hire like dishwashers and stuff like that. So I think it's great. I think he needs to be. He's already been kind of in a customer service area. He's worked for CQB for a year. Yeah. But I mean, let's be honest. We're only open 12 hours a week.
Right.
Total.
Right.
And he doesn't work every shift. So even working one shift a week, you're talking 3 hours a week. 4 hours a week.
That's true.
It's not enough. He wants to save for a car. He wants to do all this, which is great. So now we're trying to find him a position, find him a job, you know. And he's having a hard time with the fact that I pay him okay at CQB. Right. It's not many hours, but I pay him okay. And these jobs are offering minimum wage.
Oh yeah.
$7-something an hour. And he's like, really? $7 an hour?
Yeah.
He's like, why can't I just pick up more hours at CQB?
Because you don't work that much.
Because you don't work. We're not open that much. If I was open 40 hours a week, cool, but I'm not, you know? So.
Yeah, but that's one of, that's one of those great, I agree with you. Sophie worked at the inn cleaning rooms. That taught her so much about people.
Mhm.
Same thing. Taught her so much about people. She loves the job she has now because she has no problems treating people fine because, yeah, she didn't work in the restaurant industry, but she had to clean up after people's messes.
That might be worse.
It was, it was pretty bad. James kind of lucked in. His first job is still the job he has now. He works for BF Builders, so he does construction. I would like him to have another kind of job, but I mean, he gets paid $15-16 an hour working part-time for them, something different. But there is something to say. Like I said, I wash dishes. Megan, where Mi Pueblo used to be, there was a place called Panhandle. It was just a greasy spoon kind of restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
That's where Megan's first job was, waiting tables there. It does teach you so much.
It does, man.
It teaches you so much about just being, okay, I gotta take shit. And
it humbles you.
It does. And be okay with it. Well, that's what I said. I mean, again, Sophie, appreciating the job she has because cleaning up after people's messes, I might, okay. Just
random thought.
Well, dude, I'm almost 50 years old. I've never left a tip for my housekeeper.
No.
Is that a thing?
Apparently it is. We live in such a, I'm sorry. This is a soapbox.
Yeah.
We live in a society where everybody expects a tip now. Everybody. They expect a tip for the greeters at Walmart expect a tip for telling you hello, good morning. I mean, they expect tips everywhere. Where was I at the other day? I checked out somewhere. I paid for something, and the second screen was a tip screen. And where was it at? It was like a clothing store. It was like I went in, found a shirt,
right,
walked up to the counter, you scanned it and told me how much my total was, and the second screen is a tip screen.
Yeah.
What?
Yep.
I mean, I understand the tipping when they are making server wages.
Yeah.
Server wages are like $4 something right now or something like that. Okay, they're making below minimum wage. They depend on the tip to make it equal to minimum wage or a living wage. Okay.
Right.
Now people are going to argue. People are going to say, "Well, why don't the business just pay more?" Because if the business has paid all their waiters $15 an hour, then your hamburger would be $30.
Yep.
Are you willing to pay $30 for a hamburger? I'm not talking fries, meal. I'm talking $30 for the hamburger. I'm talking a full meal is going to cost you $45 to go out for lunch.
Yep.
Are you willing to do that? If you are, I'm willing to pay There's restaurants that have done that social experiment all over the country.
Yeah.
And
they're closing. Yep.
Because they can't do it.
Yep.
I mean, look at California. They raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Look at how many small businesses went out of business.
Gone.
Because they had to raise their prices, and then all of a sudden the people are like, you know what, I'll just buy it online.
Yep. Yeah.
People complain that we don't pay our employees enough until we have to make enough money off of our business to pay our employees that, and then you want to complain about that and you go somewhere else.
Right.
There's no logic.
Yeah.
But anyway, so with tipping, I'm totally, if I'm getting a service,
Right.
I tip.
Right.
I even go as far as if I go to a buffet, I'm getting my own food, all they're doing is bringing me a drink. I still tip a little bit. You know what I mean?
If they're attentive, if they're asking me questions,
absolutely.
I will. Yes,
absolutely.
I agree.
But tipping for something like, I even have a problem, and this is a weird one, but I even have a problem with like baristas in coffee stores. Now, I will tip because of personality and the attentiveness.
Yep.
Way over because you gave me a cup for me to pour my drip coffee into.
So
you didn't even pour. You just handed me a cup. And the next screen says 18%. Doesn't even give you 15% anymore.
No.
They've eliminated the 15%. It's went up to 18 now.
18, 20, and 23.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. So like barista, obviously drinking coffee this morning. I tip this particular young gal because I don't even have to tell her what I get anymore. I literally, this morning, I drove up. She said, "Oh, your coffee and your sandwich?" Yep. Okay. I didn't even tell her.
Yep. That's attentiveness.
Right.
That is, she remembered you.
Yep.
She made your life easier.
Yep. Yep.
That's worth something.
Yep. Absolutely.
That is worth something. I agree to that.
Yeah.
I think the standard should be if that person makes your life easier for what you do, their time is worth it because they put effort into it. But some grumpy ass person behind the counter who scans a tag and then expects you to tip them can kiss my ass.
Oh, no.
Sorry, this is a soapbox.
So I want to go back to the beginning. Okay. Do you find you're foggy, right? You go and you get something like this. Are you easier going or are you harsher?
I'm harsher. I'm harsher. Because unless the person makes my day easier.
Right.
If I'm getting, if whatever I'm doing, I don't care what service it is. I don't care if it's talking to the gas station attendant.
Right, yeah.
If I'm having a foggy day and that person helps me not have to think about something or make a decision, dude, they're worth their weight in gold.
Right.
And I'll tell them, I'll be nice to them. If it's not a tipping situation, then I'll just tell them to have a good day and I'll talk to them and be nice. Right. But if that person is rude or the slightest bit snooty, I'm probably twice as worse as I would be if I wasn't having a fucking rain day.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too.
That's just the way life works. I'm sorry, it just is. You know, I'm not proud about it. I'm just saying it is.
I think that's just human. Like you said, I already don't feel the best. I'm feeling off. I'm feeling a little bit different.
Now, that person doesn't know that, but that doesn't mean that person shouldn't have to know. They should have a standard that they are to everybody.
Yeah.
And if that standard is higher than the norm, then it doesn't matter what situation the other person's in. You're going to treat all the people the same.
But I'll tell you what, it was really nice, like I said, driving up. And today I was running a little bit slow. Normally I usually like to be here about half an hour, 45 minutes before you're here to get some of this stuff set up. Today, literally, you walked in as I walked in.
Yeah.
You know? But it was nice because, like you said, I didn't have to think.
Yeah.
I didn't have to think because I'm already, like I said, I'm already a little bit... you know, and it was great, and I was in that moment like absolutely worth every bit of that tip.
Yep.
Right. But there are times I've had other ones like I'm not afraid to say no.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid because that's my money, and I'm not afraid to say no.
Now, on the other end of that spectrum, I have tipped 100% of my bill before to someone.
Oh, I have.
You know, I have went out. I mean, we did. Me and my wife went out. You know, had our little staycation thing at the resort or whatever, and we went out one night, and the food was excellent. The service was amazing.
Yeah.
The waiter didn't just be a waiter; they joked with us.
Yeah.
All this stuff. And I think my bill, it was like a quick place. I mean, I don't remember what my bill was, but I tipped almost 100% of what my bill was because that person worked for that.
Yeah.
She worked for our table.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it made my entire experience better.
Yeah.
And they were happy with it, you know? And just like, you know, we've got a place we go to when we go out in Sandpoint for our date nights. We got a place we go to called 113 Main, I think is what it's called. And it's just like a little bistro bar area. And there's this one bartender there that is just, she jokes with us every time we're there. We just talk like human beings. We've got, you know, we sit and she serves us every single time. I don't got to tell her what I'm drinking. Alexa don't have to tell her what she's drinking. She just makes it when she sees us walk in.
Yeah.
She gets tipped well.
Yeah.
She makes me not have to make decisions.
Yeah.
And I'm just there to be able to have a conversation with my wife and not have to deal with anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it makes a world of difference.
Yeah, it does. So yeah, our tipping has gotten out of control. It's crazy to me to think there are countries that don't even allow tipping.
I know.
You know, and like
I know. Yeah.
It's crazy. Tipping has just got out of hand.
Well,
really.
Yeah. It's one of those things.
And this is not coming from someone, anybody hears this, that has never worked in an industry where I depended on tips. I worked in an industry where I depended on tips.
Oh,
for years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there were people who didn't tip me out of spite, you know?
Well, I mean,
I don't hold grudges. I couldn't tell you any of their names or any of the customers. I don't hold grudges. You didn't. You know what? That's cool. You might have, you don't agree with that. It's not mandatory. Don't worry about it.
No. No, like I said, my mom has been a chef, a professional cook in a restaurant my entire life. I don't remember her ever doing anything else. That's something I've always known. But there is something to it of like, hey, I want something. I'm not tipping at Burger King when I go there. What? No, no, that's no. You get no. It's plenty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, guess what?
It's that time. Oh, wow. It is that time.
It is that time.
We went long today.
Yeah. So, Dathan, fogginess aside, what's on the brain? What is your final thought, sir?
Oh, my goodness.
Is there one?
I don't know. It's a very foggy thought. Guys, just have a good day. I can't try to have a good day. Try to make the best out of whatever is going on. Foggy brained or not, just be nice to people.
Yeah.
Be nice to people.
Yeah. I think that's
be
a
nice
great
to
one.
people.
I think that's a great final
Best
thought.
Final thought I can have.
Yeah. Nope. I agree. Be nice to people, realizing that you never know what's actually going on in their circumstances.
Absolutely.
They might be in, they might be out, but be nice. So with that, folks, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time on
All right.
Distracted Thoughts.